18th, 2024. We're pretty good. It's about 8:40. I hear an echo. Things have to break in like people. Okay, I'm calling this meeting to order, and I'm going to take roll. Kika Bukowski.
Present.
Anthony Alto.
Present.
Don Takeuchi Apuna is excused. Michelle Chan Boongrabber.
Present.
Natalie Iwasa. Hi, Natalie.
Hi.
Roger Morton.
Present.
Joe O'Donnell. Hey, Joe. Can you hear me, Joe? That's not a picture, right? That's Joe, right? Oh, there he is. Okay. Just making sure you're here, Joe. Ed Sniffen, not here, but I understand Ed will be joining us later by Zoom. Art Tolentino is excused. Edwin Young is excused. Robert Yu?
Here.
And the chair is here. We do have quorum. First of all, do we have any testimony today on any items on the agenda? Seeing none. Do we have anything written online, anything? No, thank you very much. So with that, we'll go to the agenda. Before we begin, I'm going to move up agenda item number 4B because of a scheduling issue. And before I do that, however, there is another issue which I'm going to defer. I'm looking for it. And that's agenda item number 6, which is the update of general excise and transit accommodation tax surcharge projection versus the actual revenues. The reason I'm moving that up is because my good friend Rick Keene, who I've had this running discussion with, as everyone knows, on this specific issue, is not here. And I do not believe that we should be discussing a document which he actually created unless Rick is here. So I'm going to defer that matter. I assume there's no objections. Thank you very much. So let's go back to the agenda. So we'll do agenda item number 4B to the top of the agenda. And that's employment actions relating to former HART project director. And this is, of course, we're talking about Nate Meddings, Laurie and Sandy. I think we need an executive session on this matter because it is a personnel, even if he's no longer with us, it's still a personnel related matter. Sandy, is that you? Okay. So members, may I have a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statute Section 92-4 and subsection 92-5A4. And this is to consult with our attorneys on questions and issues on a matter pertaining to board's powers, duty, privileges, immunities, and liabilities, and section 92-5A8 to deliberate or make decisions upon matters that require the consideration of information that would be kept confidential pursuant to state or federal law or a court order. May I have such a motion?
Chair, I so move.
Thank you, Anthony. Any second?
I'm chair. I second.
And Robert seconds. Natalie, do you want to make your disclaimer at this point?
Yes, actually, I'd like to make a couple of comments, if I may. I'm very concerned that this is on the agenda again. I think that this sends a message to our bidders and other people who are watching this now very closely. And, Nate, his family, they vacated their home a long time ago already. Their house was put up for sale last week. I mean, and this is public knowledge. You can see it on, and if you do a Google search, you can find it. So I'm not revealing anything that I think is personal, but I'm just very concerned that, I mean, we've heard the arguments about why he left, and I just want to express those concerns. And then regarding my statement, I just wanted to also say that because I haven't signed the confidentiality agreement, I understand I won't be able to participate, but I ask you again to be very careful about what you're discussing in these board meetings. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Natalie. Anyone else have any comments, discussions? If not, do we have unanimous consent to go into executive session? Hearing no objections, we do. I guess they're gonna technically put you in a different room, Natalie? They'll take care of that?
Yes, the pop-up is up and I will join that. Thank you.
Thank you. So everyone here who shouldn't be here, can we ask you to leave? Thank you very much. We're back. Currently 10:02. Regarding the Heart Project Director, there is no action to be taken. However, what we are going to do is refer this matter for further consideration to the HR Director, HR Committee Chair, and she will consult with the HR persons involved, whether it's city, Heart, and/or Corporation Council. So with that, we will continue on the agenda. I understand we have someone else here who is on a hard stop. By the way, is there anyone here? Nothing? Thank you. So we are going to go to Canopy Arms. Is that right?
Yeah, unless you had.
No. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Sandy. Sandy, sorry. Sandy has a hard stop, so let's finish Sandy off. You are going to be on 2A, monthly update on critical position recruitment. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's part of the executive director's update. Again, anyone here to testify on this agenda item 2A, executive director's update, monthly update on critical position recruitment? Hearing none, go ahead.
Good morning again. So this is a summary of our current status. We currently have 14 positions that are displayed here. Of these 14 positions, we have filled one of them.
It's not in your book. It's not in the book. This is
It's
just on the screen. You just produced this today?
yes, Jenny.
You know, I'm anticipating what Natalie is going to say. I think at the last meeting, she asked that these information be provided to the board and as well as to the public versus having it come here. My understanding is under sunshine, it's okay as long as we see it the same time everyone else sees it. But that is the issue. We are seeing it. And if you're not able to see the screen, I'm not sure if Natalie's able to view it on her screen or how the public is viewing this. So if we can make a specific request that to the extent possible, can you make sure that we get these at least if it's 48 hours, we can post it, but it would be really good for the public if we could get this information ahead of time. But with that, I'm sorry, Sandy, I know you've got a hard stop, so please.
No problem, but thank you for that information. So in summary, we have 14 positions that we're displaying here that are currently open. Of these 14 positions, we have filled one of those positions. It'll be effective Monday, May 20th, and we have filled the fiscal analyst 2 positions with project controls. In addition, we have received 3 acknowledged tentative offers, and we have a start date for these 3 positions as it's scheduled on July 1st or sooner, depends on how quickly we can process, but it's the Data Processing Systems Analyst 1. I know here it says that we're still waiting, but we did get that confirmation yesterday afternoon. We also have a planner position and records management analyst position. The records management analyst position is one of the critical or top priority positions that we are filling. So with that said, that will leave, if we fill these positions, that will leave us with 10 open positions. And for these positions, we're either phone screening, we're doing in-person interviews, or we're continuing the recruitment process for those positions. There is one more page after this. And here, these are our future open positions. We from our pipeline, we did select a candidate for the management analyst position. The candidate is scheduled to start on July 1st or sooner.
So,
Wait a minute, let me be sure. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay, questions? Go ahead.
so Sandy, previous to our last meeting, there's some jiggling that went on when Vance moved up and then Vance selected a deputy and then like there's a vacancy underneath there. Which position is the empty one? Is it on our critical list or is it not on our critical list? It's,
Promoted Matt to be the deputy
Right.
project director, so
which one's his? Is
so
it on here or it's not on here?
So I just talked to Sandy. We are trying to promote from within first, but if we can't, then I just spoke to her yesterday that we might
Okay.
have to start posting
And
out.
then previous to last month, when you talked about it, or maybe it was a little bit longer than that. The last thing we had known was that Rick had planned on leaving in the summer. And then you said he's planning on leaving at the end of the year because you spoke to him after the Nate thing happened at the end of March. So that would put it at last month. But as of April, we had thought he was leaving and his position's not on there. So how did you discuss people taking his position that you talked about last time without a vacancy? I mean, I guess I understand the, directed assignment or just talking to people, but you made it sound like, oh, I had a candidate. And I don't understand the process that goes through.
So actually, we don't have to advertise.
Right.
We can just handpick
Right.
who we want. So when late last year, or early in the year, when Rick said, "Okay, Laura, I think I really need to retire," so June timeframe. So I did reach out to a specific person that I thought would be good, and we just had a couple of informal conversations. He had a couple of informal conversations with Rick, but subsequent to, I was pretty honest about my situation, and he says that he's not going to come over if I'm not here. So I just stopped talking to him.
So there's no succession plan for that right now?
There's a good candidate if I'm staying, but if I'm not,
Right.
then I'm not.
Regardless, based on the feedback that you gave them, they said that they're not willing to make a decision. So you don't have a backup to that?
That is correct.
Okay.
Chair.
Done? Yes.
Yes, I'm done.
One quick question, just to follow up on the recruitment for the deputy executive director. That's not a position that the board has to approve, right? Okay.
Anyone else? Yes, Anthony.
This is perhaps it's a question, how long is a piece of string? Are you confident that we have enough and a strong enough team to manage the city center guideway and station contract once that's let?
I'm very confident with our team. We have those that are on one punch list items that are still a little bit on the west side, and then we have the utility relocation. So some of those staff are going to transfer over. But in the meantime, we do have the consultants continuing to grow the team, specifically Santa.
Anyone else? Sandy, I just want to clarify something. So, we keep, because you no longer have the, what I call the legend as to where we are on there. So the last time, I think we had 39 filled positions to our, what I call 89-day wonders. We had 26 vacant positions, 37 deleted positions, and 32 requests to fill. Does that sound about right to you? That totaled to the 135, of which we're deleting 37 positions. So we still have about 98 or something.
So What I'm carrying is, current head count is 38, and we have
I'm sorry, can't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Speak louder.
38 is our current head count. City vacant positions are 34, and city vacant unfunded positions are 26, for a total city full-time employee count of 98.
The 38 includes what I call the two 89-day ones.
Yes, yes.
So we technically have, so with this, we are gonna go up to the pension 41 positions, with the three that you mentioned.
Yes, yes.
And the second page of that list, it has 32 requests to fill positions. And those are, what, are those part of that list? But they didn't look like 32.
Of the 98.
32 of the 98. Was that 32 positions that we had on that second page?
30,
30?
30, yes.
But of that, we are now moving one up to being filled and two of the others that you mentioned, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're still at 41 filled positions. Two are the 89-day wonders, and the other numbers remain the same. Correct?
Sorry, I didn't hear
The
that.
other numbers remain the same, except for you said, what is it? One of it is 34 now versus,
So 34 is the vacant, city vacant funded positions.
is that the request to fill on this chart? Because these are the categories you have.
Okay.
Filled, vacant, delete, request to fill, and a total of 135. So the deletes are 37, I think. So that's where we get to the 98.
I believe so, yes. Mhm.
So I guess out of that, the 34 that you mentioned, are they request to fill?
They're funded positions.
Funded, so that's the request to fill, I assume.
Yes, request to fill.
Can we ask a follow-up?
Yeah. So this is the most recent chart I have.
What is the date of that?
This is February 27, 24.
Yeah, we might need to
need to
update
update
that
that.
because some people
Yes.
moved and some people left and some people got hired.
Well, this is the most recent
Yeah,
that I
let's
have.
let's update that.
Yeah.
Let's update that.
By my count, does that mean we lost another member of staff since the last meeting?
We did lose one person, yes.
Okay.
You had answered, Lori, this is for Lori. It's the question about, can we do CCGS and finish all our obligations with what we have? And I want to just ask a clarifying question. Can you go back one chart, please? Do you mean if you fill all of these, or do you mean with what you have right now?
I have confidence in our team, but they are stretched thin. So I don't think it's not fair to ask them to continue to be, it's not sustainable to be working at this level through CCGS. So we need to bring in these staff and additional consultants to take the burden off of the shoulders of those that are working at a very high pace.
Working at a very high pace without CCGS even on the table yet.
Yes.
So we need to fill 34 vacant positions. And you might need some consultants.
Yes. Yes.
Of which 14 are of higher priority and in recruitment.
I need to let Sandy go. She needs to get over to the mayor's office.
I think we're good.
Yeah, are you folks all right?
Yeah. Can we update the org chart? I think we just, because there's changes going on, we just might want to do it every month. And PMOC might want a copy of that too. So, they can take a look at where everybody is and where the pukas are as we move people around. Because they'll care. So, okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you. And then get the information to us sooner rather than later. Yeah, so that we're not looking up there. Thank you very much, Sandy. Okay, the other item that we're going to take out of order, members, is because there's another hard stop. It's the agenda item number 8, which is a status, wait a minute. It's agenda item number 7, status report on Hart's Crack Canopy Arm claim against AECOM. So, first of all, anyone here to testify on that matter other than the gentleman, please come forward. Hearing none, no other testimony submitted. So please introduce yourself and where you're from, and give your report.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. My name is Joe Stewart. I'm an attorney with Kobayashi, Sugita, and Goda. I'm here to provide a executive session briefing to the board of the status of the claim
Okay.
with AECOM.
I have Daniel Kim down here. Oh, okay, just so that I know who's here. Okay.
So I move that we move into executive session.
Okay, just so that we're clear, we're moving into executive session pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statute 92-4 and subsection 92-5A4 to consult with our attorneys on questions and issues on a matter pertaining to the board's powers, duty, privileges, immunities, and liabilities. We have a motion and we have a second. Natalie, we can have yours as a running.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. So any other comments or discussions? If not, do we have unanimous consent, members, to, wait a minute. Kika's, we can't move yet. We have to go find Kika.
He's right here. Hey, Kika. Kika. Hi. We need to do a for about the session. Thank you. Everybody waiting for me?
Oh, yeah, you're so important. So, any other, no objections? Hearing none, we're moving into executive session. Thank you. This is on the camera. Session. This is the Board of Directors meetings of Hart. And this is Friday, May 17th, 2024, and it's approximately 11:12 a.m. We were in executive session on the status report on Hart's Crack Canopy Arm claim against AECOM. We had a report from Daniel Kim of the Council Service, the Corporation Counsel, and in addition, the outside counsel, Mr. Stewart of the Kobayashi firm. It is still in progress, and we are going to wait for a further update by both of our attorneys. Thank you very much. And again, is there anyone who wished to testify on this matter? I don't see anyone. So with that, we're going to go back to the top of the agenda, and we have the Executive Director's update, number B, Laurie, and this is the fiscal year 2025 operating and CIP budgets.
Thank you for allowing me to give an update on fiscal year 2025. We just had City Council, I believe, on Monday, and any cuts that they had on the operating budget has been restored. So as far as I know, everything is going good. As the board has approved, we'll come back from City Council as is.
And when is the final action on the budgets?
I want to say first week of June is going to be one
First
final
Wednesday of June? That's the full board. Okay. Thank you very much, members. Any questions? Anyone? Not? Thank you very much for that update. Now we're going to go to agenda item number 3, which is the committee reports. Is anyone here to testify on agenda item number 3, all 3 committees? If not, hearing none, let's begin with Project Oversight Committee. Kika.
Chair, your Committee on Project Oversight met on Friday, May 3rd. We had one item on the agenda reviewing the March 2024 monthly progress report. There were no actions taken in the committee. That concludes the POC report.
Kika, I just have a question. We didn't have a PMOC report because it wasn't done yet. Do
That's-
you know? Do you know if it's been done since then?
I do not know if it's been done since.
Just came in?
Yeah, we just got it from Mark and April draft. So, just do more about that.
Well, no, we check for any technical, then it goes back to PMOC, then they send it to FTA, so. still don't know.
So March and April have to go back. I mean, you're gonna review it and it goes back and then it comes back to us. So it may be in time for the next POC meeting. Is that what you're saying?
Potentially.
Okay.
And then just to note, we didn't receive February report. So I think they're going back and looking at that report, we'll provide that.
So we're back 3 PMOC reports? Okay, so Kika, you can be busy. 3 PMOC reports potentially.
Big bucks if they're so delayed.
We not pay 'em.
Well, we're not
Yeah,
paying
yeah.
them. Well, we pay them, ultimately we do.
ultimately pay them, that's true.
All right, thank you. Next report, Anthony Alto, May 3rd, 2024 meeting, Government Affairs Legal Matters Committee.
Chair, you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, we met on May 3rd. We had one item on our agenda, which was to hear from our attorneys on the status of negotiations on the litigation between the city and County of Honolulu, formerly acting on our behalf, and Victoria Ward. To hear that update, we went into executive session. We heard that the conversations are progressing in a positive direction. We heard that the executive director has been very helpful in that, and that was there was no action taken, and that concluded the meeting.
Okay, by the way, any questions of Kika, Ann, or Anthony? Anyone? Nope, thank you very much. Third report, Michelle, Human Resources Committee.
Thank you, Chair. We met your Human Resources Committee met on Friday, May 3rd. There were 3 substantive items, but we also had a number of previous co-workers as well as current employees that gave public testimony regarding the executive director and their experiences with the executive director. So that was new, as well as some of their comments that they had to make with respect to HR processes. We talked about the status to recruit and retain employees as well as succession planning, and the executive director and CEO's contract was deferred until the June meeting.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments to Michelle? If not, thank you very much.
Wait, Chair,
Yes.
Chair, Natalie, I'd like to make
Hi,
some
Natalie,
comments.
sorry.
Yeah. So during that meeting, as Michelle stated, the contract for Lori was deferred. I just wanted to express concerns about that. There was also a comment that the Hart Chair and the HR Committee Chair would work together regarding that contract. And then today we hear that the HR Committee is going to continue discussions about the project manager's position. And I'm just very concerned about this because the longer we take, the board takes to make a decision, the more people are speculating on what is going to happen and what the board's intent is. And it seems to me that this creates a very, not only awkward, but not a good situation for current Hart employees as well as those who might want to work there. It's kind of up in the air with the top management. And I'm just really concerned about that. Personally, I'd like to know what the plan is because we have the City Center Guideway and Stations bid out there, and I'm concerned that those bids are going to come in higher. There was also a statement earlier in the meeting that there was no written testimony for today's meeting. And my understanding is that there was some communications that came in. And, you know, I would like to see, I think those communications should be shared with the board. And so just concerns about the whole issue here with respect to what's happening. So thank you for allowing me to express those comments.
Thank you, thank you, Natalie. I don't know about any communications because we called for that in the beginning, but we'll check and see whether we have things stuck in some info email or something like that. Because I will represent to you that when Cindy came back, there was a whole bunch of stuff stuck in some info email that she's had to go through. So there is, even when we were here without her, we didn't even know that they existed. But thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. Thank you. Anyone else? Any comments? If not, thank you very much. We're going to move on to item number 4, which is a follow-up on board members' requests made at the April 19, 2024 Board of Directors meeting. Is anyone here to testify on this agenda item? Nope. Thank you very much. So, Lori, I think this is you. Oh, well, first of all, number A is right-of-way acquired by Hawaiian Electric benefit. This is you and, I don't see Krista. Oh, Krista, are you here? Oh, hi, Krista.
I am here. Thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we are.
Great. So I did take a look and see how many properties or how many easements have been acquired for HECO so far. And to date, we've closed on 10 HECO easements. In addition to the 10 that we've closed on, we are currently negotiating on 35 additional easements. And there are 6 more that are currently in the design phase.
So Krista, so I'm clear, is this pursuant to the request I made?
Yes, you'd asked how many properties or how many easements have been acquired for HECO.
And I also wanted to know how much we've expended to date.
Okay, so we have on the closed transactions, that's all I can report on is the ones that have closed. We've spent $198,000 so far.
And 35 are in what status?
In process, so we're in negotiations with the owners, or perhaps they're in some of the ones that we've just gotten approval for certain parts of condemnation approvals. But 35 that we consider in process where we're working to acquire them.
And the 35 that part of the 35 that may be in the approval process for condemnation, how many of those have actually received council approval to proceed? If you know, if not, you can.
I don't. I think just one of the ones that we've decided needed to go to condemnation. I think there's been 7, and only one has had recent approval for condemnation.
And 6 are still in the design phase.
6 other properties are in design phase. That's correct.
So there's 41 properties in varying amounts, so to speak, that's still pending out there.
That's correct. And that's on private property. I did not include HECO easements where they were perhaps on Navy or airport or state-owned property. I just included in my numbers private properties that were impacted by HECO easements.
We don't compensate, do we? Do we compensate
No.
the state?
We do not.
We do not, right? Yeah, I think,
No.
I was more interested in how much it was costing us. Not to belittle your time, because working on all the easements, whether they're state or federal, it still involves your time. But yeah, I was more concerned about how much out of pocket we would be spending. So right now, 10 easements at 198,000, and we have 41 more to go, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, Krista.
Thank you.
Any other questions, members?
Sure.
Yes.
Thanks, Krista. I was just curious, does Hart pursue acquisitions or eminent domain for any other purpose for Hart that involves any other state or city entity or agency? Roadways, public right-of-ways? Has Hart engaged in any other rights of ways or easements or eminent domains on behalf of the project? in those types of areas?
So there is some road widening that's necessary because of the guideway. The guideway going down the middle of the road does cause there to be a need for road widening purposes. We acquire the additional 10 feet for that road widening. Eventually, it will be turned over to DFM to manage the roadways. I'm not, off the top of my head, aware of which properties, if any, have gone to eminent domain for that road widening. I'd have to review the files. And then we do have a couple where we've acquired easements, or we are acquiring easements for HTI. That's all I can think of right now.
What's HTI?
I'm sorry, Hawaiian Telecom.
Okay, so these rights of ways, roadways, widening of roadways, who initiates those actions? Is it the city agency or the state agency, or is it HART?
It's HART, so it's needed for the project because of the guideway. So the design team just determines where the road needs to be widened, and they notify us of the acquisition that's necessary, and then we go through our process to acquire it.
And once it's and I'm assuming that the development or the improvement to those facilities are also borne by HART.
That's correct. Well, I guess I don't know for a fact, so I should not answer that.
Yeah, I'm assuming. Lori, maybe you can help me answer this. Ka'ohu intersection, I think it is. Ka'ohu? Oh, so that is with the state, right? Department of Transportation, that intersection? Okay, so, I mean, the improvements to that intersection is borne by HART. And it's a result of the construction of the rail. And eventually those improvements will be turned over to the city. And so, Krista, I mean, these other acquisitions, eminent domains, if any, highway widening, those will also be turned over to whether the city or the state at some point.
That's correct. If it's state roadways, then it would go to DOT. If it's city roadway, then it goes to, I believe, DFM.
Do you have any information regarding the total amount of these types of acquisitions or rights of ways or eminent domains for other agencies, entities, whether it's city, state, federal, other than just utilities that HART is undertaking on behalf of others in furtherance of the project?
I do not. I was not looking at that particular piece of information, but I could also get that information.
Okay, so then there's other similar situations other than just utilities where HART, in furtherance of the project, acquires property and improves it and then turns it back over to that particular agency or whatnot.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Thank you, Krista.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend. So
You too.
I think that ends agenda item number 4. We already did B, so did A just now. So the next item is agenda item number 5, and it is legislative update. Joey Monahan. Anyone here to testify on the legislative update? Nope. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. Good morning. Joey Manahan, Director of Government Relations and Public Involvement, here to report on 2 items that were at the legislature. House Bill 2380, which is making an emergency appropriation to the Department of Budget and Finance for the Mass Transit Fund, which comes to the project. The bill was passed during conference, with a higher amount than what was originally put in. It came out with $179 million, and just estimating the cap at $375 million, that puts us for FY24 above $500 million at $554 million. And then for House Bill 1800, the legislature, we weren't authorized to advocate for this, or the legislature graciously did this appropriation on their own, addressed it in the FY25 budget for us going forward. My understanding, and I verified the number with BUF, state BUF, it is a 93 million that was put in, which if you added, I'm estimating again a cap to be about 375 million, and that puts us to about 468 million for FY25. Any questions on either of those measures?
Anyone has questions? Yes, Kika.
So Joey, I mean, I know you mentioned that you weren't authorized by the board to advocate on behalf of these bills. Is that
We were
accurate?
authorized to advocate for 2380.
right? But not 1800.
Yes, not 1800. That my understanding is the legislature addressed it during conference at the end.
Okay. I guess my only comment is if there's any way that you can think of that the board can make it easier for Hart to advocate for legislative measures in an easier way, because I mean, we all know that the legislature moves quickly, and sometimes it's not, you're not able to get whatever existing authorizations you need in order to advocate on our behalf or in opposition of legislation that could hurt us. If there's anything that you can think of that you could present to the board that would help you do what you do better, that would be good.
Well, thank you. No,
Let's
and I
be
appreciate-
clear, you never brought 1800 to us for any kind of position.
No, we didn't.
So we can't tell you to advocate for something that you don't bring to us.
Yeah, no, and we didn't know it was going to be in.
That's because they call, but they don't necessarily put it in writing.
No, I understand.
But the question I have, Joanne, this is something that's bothered me, even when you look at 2380, is the cap.
Right.
And the question is with the cap, you know, that's really the problem that we're having.
Yes.
Because there is a cap that went originally in Act One, it was $1 million. And somehow through the process along the way, it became 300 and something million, but it was based on some sort of calculation. That cap is what's caused the problem that we have with 2380,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So my understanding was, we did not do anything on the cap because BNF, the city BNF, Budget and Fiscal Services, didn't put it in as part of their package request. Is that correct?
It wasn't in any package. There was no bills to address the cap.
Yeah, so the only thing we could do is if, well, we could have asked the WAM and finance chairs if they might have created a proviso on it but it would technically require an amendment, because I'm not sure how they originally lowered the cap, because the law states $1 million, which we would not hit. I don't think, it would be wonderful if we could hit that, but we're not going to hit that as a cap. So that's really, to avoid a 2380 kind of situation again, we need the cap to be either removed for the duration of Act One or back to Act One, correct?
That is correct.
So now the question is, we have this emergency appropriation that has come in. How are they going to calculate this emergency appropriation now? So you're saying they gave us 93 million, this is them and their conference committee, and then 2380 has the amount of money that we should have gotten before, that we couldn't because of the cap. So I'm just wondering, is this going to just keep dragging on until that cap is removed? Because if we're looking at 400-something million dollars, that's exceeding the cap for this year.
Yes. No. So unless there's a bill to address the cap specifically, we're going to have to go through this process every year.
All right. I think you guys should start working on a bill to address the cap. Because that's really, and I think I told you this before, that's really the problem. It's the cap. We gotta either go back to Act One's $1 million, or we're gonna have to do a situation where we remove it for the duration of Act One. Either one, I think we're gonna have to amend or do something to Act One, figure it out.
Thanks. Yes, Chair. And we would work with BUF to do that, and we would work with the board to do that.
Yeah, and like I said, my concern now is we're getting this money in this fiscal year. How does this then affect the cap for this fiscal year? And if the analysis by BFS and also by you guys, you as you look at this, is that we're gonna bump against the cap.
Yeah.
Because what is it total amount that you feel that we're getting? Was it almost 400 million?
468.
For FY25, it's about 468 million, right? And that's above the 375 cap.
That's above the cap, right?
Right.
Okay, just so that we're on the same page. So that's what we need to do.
Chair,
Yes.
I think we should take it up in the government affairs and actually have a chat with members of the ledge. I'm sure this is an issue you ran into in Congress with the budget ceiling every year,
Yeah.
and it's equally crazy. We'll try and address it and see if we can make some headway with the ledge.
The ledge is aware of it. They were aware of 2380. I got calls on it, but I think the concern was how do we deal with, they don't want to remove the cap. I understand that. They don't want to, so Robert's recommendation was just go back to the original Act One language. And that would be, I think we've got enough clearance on that because that's $1 million. So we go into the original, yeah. But we should bring it up. Can you note it in your committee?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So can you look at and be anticipating that? Okay. Anyone else? It's great news that we're having money, yes.
So I understand the cap, is that just on the GET, not on the TAT?
It would be anything on the mass transit fund. So yes.
So it'd be
it would-
both.
It would be both, yeah. For Act One TAT, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Act One is both of those funds. Yes, Robert, did you have a comment? Oh, Natalie, you have a comment? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So I just wanted to make sure that the cap on Act One was $1 million because
Right.
I thought you were saying, or I thought Joey was saying we were looking at 400 million for the fiscal year. So just want to get our millions.
No, the Act One was $1 million.
A billion.
Then $1 billion,
Yeah,
sorry,
billion.
$1 billion.
Okay.
Sorry, $1 billion. And then there was an amendment, or there was a change in the law as evidenced in 2380, which then lowered the cap. And that's why we have this problem. Because even if the GET income is a lot higher, and that's why we're getting, what, 179 or something? That's money that's technically Hart's to begin with, that Hart can't get because of this artificial cap that they placed on. Well, it's actually something that they do to everybody, but I don't know why they messed around with Hart's 1 billion and lowered it. But they lowered it in, what year was it, 22? I think it was 22, huh?
20.
Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to clarify 1 billion and not.
Yeah,
1
sorry,
million.
it's 1 billion.
Thank you.
21, huh? 21 to 22. Anyone else? Did you have something?
Oh, yeah, just a quick comment. And Lori and Joey and Roger knows this. When do you have to submit anything to the mayor so the mayor could put everything in the mayor's package to the legislature?
That comes a little bit before the legislative session. I have to check the exact date.
Right. So anyway, that might be a good opportunity for Hart to submit that and include that as the mayor's package. It seems to me that would be the easiest, right? Instead of us going our own path and working with whoever, it seems like that package would be the best avenue to do it.
And I think I would recommend maybe around August to look at that at that time frame. Maybe, because I think the mayor's got to formulate his overall. He does it a little bit later, I think, but I think for our purposes, August or earlier would be a good time frame.
And again, just so that we're clear, we also, even if we get the cap and we get it removed and we get all this additional monies coming in, it's still then something that we have to pull down on, just like the 125. We have to have all of the information to pull down on the amount of monies that we receive.
I can start the research, Chair,
Yeah.
and work with the board too.
Yeah, please do, because I think that the cap is the problem, more than anything else, and it hinders how much money Hart gets. And we have been lucky that Hart hasn't had to float bonds or do any or commercial paper up until now. So, but I think that's the only way to resolve it. So this is an emergency appropriation. So hopefully it's upon whenever the governor signs it, because technically this is Hart's money anyway. So then we have to, Laurie, I hope we're all ready to set them all the monies, bills to pull down on at that point. Okay. And
It is a hostage to fortune. Any politician who wants to go out there and beat the drum on this and make a fuss, we should take care of it.
oh, you mean it's not something that most of them,
As in Congress.
yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. So we can do it, but it's, yeah. But then by then the mayor will be reelected, so we think. So it wouldn't be a political issue. Okay, anyone else on this issue? Thank you, Joey. And maybe in the future you should just automatically put the budget in as something that you can advocate for. Because if we're in there anywhere, you can always withdraw it later.
Chair,
Right.
just one last comment for Joey, and this is to follow up on Kika's question. At the beginning of the legislature, it would be nice if you could prepare a list of bills that affects Hart.
Yeah.
And
He does
huh?
do that.
He does
Oh,
do
you
that.
okay.
He does
Yeah.
do that. We just
And-
didn't
and-
have it. This one popped up.
Okay. Forget about what I
And
said.
yeah, not only does he do that, but he then gets in touch with me and says, look, these are the ones that I think we should be talking about and paying attention to. So
Okay, so that's really your authorization, at least from the board or the committee, to go and either support or not support certain things, right? Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Members, we are now going to agenda item number,
Sure.
yes. Huh? You have testimony on what agenda item? We're going to agenda item number 8. Is that what you're going to testify on? Oh, about the budget?
No, the legislative update, House Bill 2.
On the legislative update. I'm sorry, I called for testimony on that. Sorry to miss you.
Should I go up?
So we're going back on legislative update, agenda item number 7, which is twofold, HB 2380 and HB 1800.
Aloha, I'm actually Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES, the grassroots movement. So CARES proposed a few legislations, bills and resolutions at the policymaking level this year. So I'm very concerned about this legislative update. So, for example, the purpose of this act, House Bill 2380, is to request an emergency appropriation of special funds to allow the Department of Budget and Finance to disperse funds for the Mass Transit Special Fund. So this request is so funds can be distributed sooner. For example, like you got a down payment, but can we get all of it now, right? So this act was recommended by the governor for immediate passage in accordance with Section 9 of Article 7 of the Constitution of the State of Hawaii. And as a concerned member of the public, HART is a semi-autonomous public transit authority responsible for the planning, development, and construction of the project, a 20-mile automated fixed guideway HART system with 21 or to be 21 stations, right?
We've truncated
Are
it
there
now.
21 stations right now?
So it's actually 19 stations and 18.75 miles. Did I get the miles correct? Yes, 18.75 mile and 19 stations. Sorry, we don't mean to confuse people, but
Oh,
yes.
okay. So the goal is to extend it right from Kapolei past downtown into the heart of town, and then to University of Hawaii. So, and then the purpose is to provide the high capacity rapid transit from Kapolei to the University of Hawaii of Manoa for faster and more reliable public transportation and mobility to people of limited income and marginalized and the vulnerable to serve the developing corridor. So this is very interesting to me because if this was built in China, this would have been built in a few years. So this process of debating the legislative action is very, very time consuming. For example, China does not have a democracy. China has a communist government where there's like a king or a queen and that one person makes all the decisions. So I'm concerned about the emergency appropriations of special funds because I think there should be a resolution or emergency proclamation to prioritize funding for HART without having to go back and forth every time. And this is how China builds trains so fast. So there is no public debate every time about every little thing. Yeah, that's my concern.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just so you know, this is actually funds that technically HART is due and owing. So they put a cap on it in 2021. And as a result of that, HART has not received the full benefit of what the law gives them. So that's why it's an emergency appropriation. It isn't giving us more money. It's giving us money that technically HART is entitled to. But because of this quirk in the law, it puts a cap on what we can receive. But we're very thankful for your concern, and you're very right. China builds very quickly, but you know they have a different form of government than we do, and they have a president who's now president for life. So it's kind of like a voted for dictator. That's my personal opinion, but you know he's president for life. So yeah, so it's very different, and China has been known to shut down the country if they don't agree. So it's but thank you so much. We really appreciate your concern, and we'll take care of that, and hopefully in the next go around, so that we don't have to be doing emergency appropriations again.
Thank you, Board Chair. Perhaps an emergency proclamation from the governor's office could help.
Oh yeah, no, we're expecting that this will be passed and the monies will come, but still, just so that you know. Because we're the kind of government that we are, the HART then doesn't get the money. HART has to then go through and produce invoices that the state reviews, and then when they're satisfied that HART has not spent raw money properly, they will release the funds. So thank you very much for your concern. We really do appreciate it. Thank you. Anyone else who wishes either to ask questions or comments? But thank you. We really appreciate someone taking the time to come and talk to us. Thank you very much. Okay, members, we are now moving to agenda item number 8, which is a status report on Hitachi's delay claims against HART. First of all, anyone here to testify on this matter? Hearing none. Let's now go to we need to go into executive session, and we have Daniel Kim and Lisa Hirahara, both from the Corporation Council here. So I'd like a motion that says the board may enter into executive session pursuant to the Hawaii Revised Statute, Section 92-4 and Section 92-5A4. And this is to consult with our attorneys and questions and issues on a matter pertaining to the board's power, duties, immunities, and liabilities.
Chair, I so move.
Is there a second? Second by Roger. You'll have your standing statement, Natalie. Anyone else have any discussion on this matter? If not, would we have unanimous consent to go into executive session? We do. Thank you very much. Executive session. This is the HART Board of Directors meeting of Friday, May 17th, 2024. It is approximately 12 36 or 37 the afternoon. To summarize, agenda item number 7 was a status report on the Hitachi delay claims against Hart. We were advised or given an update by our attorneys, Daniel Kim and Lisa Hirohara of the Corporation Counsel. We will be receiving updates on the status of this matter throughout the year, I believe. And the idea here is that we're still in the analysis phase of the claim itself. So with that, members, we are going to move to agenda item number 9, which is the summary of board member requests made during the May 17, 2024 Board of Directors meeting. Anyone here to testify on this matter? Seeing none, then we are going to have, I think Cindy, you give this report, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I have a few follow-up requests. The first being the updated organizational chart for Hart. The request was that the update be made monthly. And there was a request to include the discussion of the Mass Transit Fund cap in the Government Affairs Legal Matters agenda for the next meeting. Last request is for written information for when Hart staff provides the board with updates. And there was an additional request made in executive session for item 4B, which I'll just direct directly to staff.
4B?
Correct. Right.
That's for the HR committee.
I think it was referred to committee.
It was referred to.
It was, but there was a request made by Kika.
Okay. Okay, just so that I'm clear, I think the idea of when we should be getting things, that was because of the fact, Natalie properly raised it, is that it's very difficult if we get things the day and it's just on here, on the screen. No one else gets to see whatever it is. And yes, we are in compliance with Sunshine because we're getting it at the same time. But I think the request was that the staff do it ahead of time so that people can have that information.
Correct. Thank you.
So I guess maybe so I just want to be clear that it was not to give us information on the day of this and on the screen, that we would like to see it ahead of time so that people can have it. Okay. Anything else? Any comments? Yes, Kika?
Yeah, Chair, just to, and I'm assuming, because it wasn't mentioned, that what Cindy's referring to in item 4B is the request I made, and I'm assuming that there's a reason why she's not referring to it specifically, so I'm gonna assume that it's the information that I requested.
Oh, right. The reason
Okay.
I didn't mention it specifically was because it was part of the executive
Okay.
session discussion. Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
And then also, just to follow up on a previous statement that Natalie made, I don't know if this is a request for the information or if it's a request for clarification, if information, I guess Natalie had mentioned that there was some written communication that was sent to the board that wasn't included on the agenda. And I guess my request is for whatever information Natalie is referring to. I don't know if she can elaborate, but also kind of, I guess my question is, if there is written communication addressed to the board, does it have to be agendized for it to be provided to the board at the next board meeting? Or does it have to be pertinent to a specific agendized item?
Communications can go to the board at any time. The Sunshine Law really talks about you communicating amongst yourselves, but if someone's sending correspondence to the board, it can be disseminated to the board without being on the agenda.
Okay, so I guess going forward, is the policy or the practice that, because now I'm wondering what other communications that we haven't gotten that hasn't been agendized. If there's supposedly communication that has been received that isn't on the agenda, and so we haven't received it.
Chair, so I think we're getting two things confused here. One is items coming from Hart staff, for example, Sandy's report on vacant positions and positions that have been filled, where we got an update today. We didn't get it in writing. It was up on screen. Natalie couldn't see it. That was what I thought Chair was referring to. Those sorts of things coming from Hart staff, let's get them in advance so that Natalie can see them, or anybody who's participating virtually. The other item is Natalie referred to her understanding that there had been emails or communications from the public or testimony, as I understood it, that had somehow gotten lost in the system that none of us has seen. Is that am I understanding that right, Natalie?
Well, I don't know if you're addressing, because I'm the one that's bringing this up.
Okay, well, is that
I'm talking
I'm not
about-
sure which of those things you're talking
I'm
about.
talking about the written communication that Natalie's referring to that was received from external sources, is the way I read it when she said it. And, I mean, I'm sorry, but I have big ears, so I'm overhearing that it wasn't on the agenda, so it wasn't provided to the board. So my question is, do you have to have it agendized for board communications from outside sources to be shared with the board, or does it have to be agendized for it to be given to the board if it's addressed to the board?
Yeah, my answer is no. So if you've got external communications coming in, does not need to be agendized, can just be disseminated to the board.
Okay, so if there is existing external communications, can we receive whatever those external communications are?
Sure, I don't get those, so
Cindy, has there been any external communications, I guess?
Correct. Kiko, my comment was that it wasn't provided to the board in the form of testimony for anything relating to an agenda item.
Oh, so we can have, let me turn my mic on. We can have, for example, written public testimony on any topic, right? Because we call for it in the beginning of the meeting. And if somebody submitted a comment for written testimony, it doesn't have to be agendized. You just would read it on behalf of that person to the board at the beginning, but it could be on any topic. Is that correct? Yes, okay. I just want to make sure that that's what we're looking for, is people sending stuff in because they can't come, and that we're getting that sent or read or whatever it is to us, so that, that people get a chance to say things in public, even if they're not here.
So I guess my question is there anything, Cindy, that has been received that was addressed to the board, external communication that was or wasn't agendized that we should have received or should receive?
Yes, I did receive some stuff in the past couple of weeks that I have yet to forward to the board. Sorry, there's been a lot of catch up that I've been trying to play.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
And those communications have had to do with anything that has been agendized?
Not at this meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, the only thing I'm aware of is that when Cindy came back, there was a whole bunch of things in the info, was it the info dot whatever?
There's a Heart Board email account that I think there was quite a backlog on that account. So I'm working through the emails that have come through that account since I was gone.
And I don't know what we haven't received any of those, because you said they're not relevant or something like that, because I don't think none of that has been forwarded. Yeah,
Sure.
yes.
I mean, I don't know, and Natalie can correct me if I'm wrong, but I got the impression that what she was referring to seemed pertinent to some of the discussions that we've been having. So my concern is that if we are not receiving the information in a timely manner that pertains to issues that we're discussing, whether they're agendized or not, I hope that we're going to be receiving these communications in a timely manner so that we can consider them while we're discussing these issues.
I'm sure we will, and I'm sure that as soon as Cindy catches up with everything, we'll know. I didn't even know that there was this bunch of emails that were sitting somewhere. So I'm sure we will, Kika. I'm pretty sure it's not an intentional thing to keep stuff from us.
Not implying that at all, Chair. Thank you.
And then the other thing that I do want, I do receive some interesting emails from people I know who, but sends me through the board, and Cindy gives those to me. And if someone feels that they should see emails that are sent to me through the board, I mean, to the info, whatever it is, then please let me know. But I will make representations to you that, like one was from, I don't know if you know him, but it's Bill Milks, who is Marie Milks' husband. He went on a trip someplace and had some kind of mass transit experience, so he sent it to me. So I do get things like that. If the board feels that those kinds of things, because they're using the board address, let me know, because I do get that. I also got something from Wilfredo Tungo, who was a person who actually applied for the 9th position, and he had ideas about, it actually was more relevant to you. I should have forwarded it to you. And it was more relevant about how to operate the system. But, so I guess from now on, I will look at those as well.
Chair,
Yes.
just to clarify, I'm not suggesting that you send us everything that people send you directly as the chair. I'm just referring to external communications that are directed to the board.
Yeah, but sometimes people send it to me, but it's really addressed, they intend for it to be disseminated to the board. It's like when I ask for something to be done, like when Rick does an analysis on something, I disseminate it to everyone because I want you to know what I'm getting. It's meant for me, but I disseminate it to everyone. I have no problem as long as everyone knows that if they send me an email, go to the board. So with that, anything else, members? I think we have all the issues ironed out. So with that, and unless somebody is going to tell me that I missed a Roman numeral, which I don't think I did, I got it all right. Okay, I would say this meeting is adjourned. Unless anyone objects. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for your time. We're doing pretty good.